Hi, folks. This is Zach Cintron. We are pre-recording this flag football webinar to get it to you going into the summer of 2024, so you guys can kind of watch it as your leisure. You can disseminate it early to your athletic directors, especially if you're a new program joining flag football. We just want to make it as accessible as possible for you guys so you can get your hands on it when it works for you as schools kind of closing out for the year. We know it's a hectic time, so we'll keep this brief as well as we go through, but we want to make sure we get you guys prepared going into the fall 2024 season for flag football. First thing I do want to mention is 2025 Plunge is already scheduled. We're doing 2 days of Cool Schools Plunge now because it's so big. That's honestly a huge congratulations to you guys doing an awesome job with Polar Plunge, getting your students engaged. And again, as we always talk about when we have conversations about helping you guys with funding, the more you guys can help us fundraise through Plunge and Cool Schools, the more that when you need an ask about equipment or any sort of assistance, we can help you out. We have more funding to support you guys because you're supporting us. So anybody that's a non-Anne Arundel County Public Schools school is going to go Wednesday. Anne Arundel County Public Schools is going to go Thursday. They are the bigger batch for sure. Just to introduce our team, if you do not know them, Meredith Tarkington is our flag football chair. That is her email. You will see plenty of emails from her over the course of the season. Please take down her email. Please make sure when you do get emails from her, if you're not seeing them, check your spam. Make sure they're not going to spam. Tyler Harrell is our manager for High School Unified Sports. Tyler handles a lot of the district level type of things, helping with district tournaments, packing equipment, doing support for district tournaments, helping with paperwork, so on and so forth. So again, that is Tyler's information. And if you do not know me yet, that is my information. That is where our office is located. That is my office number, my cell phone, and my cat that likes to go hiking with me. So if you need anything, please feel free to reach out. Again, over the course of the summer, we are working over the summer. We're not 9-month employees. We're 12-month employees. So we are around if you have questions throughout the summer. Loose agenda for today. We'll cover all sorts of stuff. There's some stuff that we'll hop through a little bit quicker than others. But for the most part, I want to get you the flag football specific stuff. Let's talk about some administration stuff to get this out of the way. This might be the most important slide that you guys care about is the season timeline. MPSSAA first day of practice is August 14th. I know you guys mostly don't get your unified sports teams into gear until school really starts. So whenever school starts tends to be the start for unified for us. The first eligible date for any sort of competition for MPSSAA, which we follow as well, is September 6th. That's probably when school's just starting, so you may not even have your teams fully together yet. First important date that you guys need to make note of, September 20th, we want you to start getting in your application for participation forms, which are your student participation forms, the CDW, which is the communicable disease waiver. It's the same waiver form we've been doing for years and years at this point. And then your team roster declaration form, that's just your roster of your student athlete's name, their date of birth, what role they fill in their team, athlete, unified partner, whatever it may be. That's just for registration for us so we can start putting names into our database for registering for competition. Additionally, on September 20th, you can start doing team assessments. I know for flag football last year, teams struggled with team assessments out of the first year. We'll get better at them as we go. I'm still learning how to teach you guys how to do assessments the best you can. But for the most part, we figured out which teams were right for playing which team based off of an eyeball test. October 4th, you guys can start turning in your postseason competition rosters. Those are your official rosters for what you want to put at the score table for each game. So your student athletes that are on each of one of your flag football teams, that's the roster you want to start turning in on October 4th. And then we want your district tournaments between October 7th and November 5th. The state tournament is scheduled for November 19th. So having them done by the 5th gives us a 2-week window with state tennis in between to get everything put together, make sure rosters are right, check paperwork, so on and so forth. Coaches training. Allegheny County did their coaches training that was mandatory last year for their first year of flag football. We need to schedule, and I'll work with you guys as district reps and your athletic directors for Garrett County, Upper Shore, and Carroll County that said they are doing flag football this year. We need to work out coaches trainings. We will come out. We will do a 2 hour, 3 hour coaches training wherever you want in your district, whatever dates you want in your district. That just needs to happen before the season really starts rolling in September. We'll fill in these blanks as we go along, just as we get your dates. Flag football equipment. Again, if you guys are joining us, we will cover any flag football equipment needed for teams that are new teams upstarting. You will get a link to fill out a Google form type of thing within the next 2 weeks. When you fill out that form and giving us your information for what teams need equipment, please do these 3 things. 1, make sure you know which schools you're ordering for. Make sure you talk to ADs and also find out what equipment they already have versus what you truly need. Do you need another order of field pylons? Typically, we will order 1 field set per school. If a school already has them because they have a varsity football program and they're willing to share, great. If you want a backup pair, we get it. That's fine as well. If you have yard markers, 10, 20, 30, whatever, and you can use your high schools, great. If not, we'll get a backup set. Additionally, please make your request for equipment for each school, and we will send the equipment directly to that athletic director or unified coach at that school. If you want to do a bulk order for X number of schools in your district and have it sent to your Board of Education, that's fine. Just fill out the information. That way we typically have the form set up to take on school by school by school. Additionally, uniform with numbers on them. For flag football, you need a uniform that has a number on the front and on the back, which is unique compared to our other unified sports. That's not included in the initial package that we'll pay for, but should we have enough extra funding, if we get the grants we're hoping to get, we might be able to help you with that. Send us a note if you need help with that. We can't guarantee that we can cover that, but if you have a question and you potentially need assistance with that, just reach out and we can talk about it. District rep checklist. The main thing I want you to note on here is please send us contact info for all of your new coaches for sure. It's probably just best if you can send us coaches' contact info, at least the head coach for each of your schools participating. Makes it way easier for us to communicate to your coaches when it's state tournament time. Again, reminder to start advertising flag football early. Make sure you're checking in with your ADs that they have coaches lined up or they're looking to line up coaches. And then the LSS specific is, just make sure that you have somebody that is your LSS manager, either whoever was last year or you've recruited a new person to do the data entry into our games management system. If you do not have a LSS manager, or if you have a new LSS manager, please let us know. We want to train them on GMS so that they can do the data entry and register your student athletes. Additionally, just a reminder, if you're looking for an LSS manager, we do pay them $500 a season that we do. So that's something that we do to incentivize them to get involved. We're not asking for that as a volunteer position. These slides I will let you guys go through in the slide deck when I send them to you. This is all the usual paperwork stuff. Nothing's changed when it comes to paperwork. This is the application for participation. It's the main form that all your student athletes do. We need one of these each school year. The CDW is, you can turn that in every school year. Same thing, 2 pieces of paper. That's all we're looking for. This is the team roster. The biggest thing with the team roster is making sure you get your coach's name, the school, their contact info on there, and then filling out the student athlete section at the bottom here. Again, put in their name, put in their date of birth. We need that to register them. Additionally, we've added a column to this that has the role next to date of birth, either athlete, somebody that has a disability, especially specifically an intellectual disability, or they're a unified partner or a unified partner IEP 504. Unified partners do not have disabilities. IEP 504s have some sort of IEP 504. Additionally, one last note about registration here. This top section, we want to make sure you have all your head coaches, assistant coaches, paraprofessionals, or anyone helping with the team filled out in this section. That's LSS manager stuff. If you have any head coaches, assistant coaches, paraprofessionals, whoever's working with your team or supporting your team, they need to be Class A cleared through Special Olympics. They need to do our background check slash volunteer application and the protective behaviors training. And then they also need to complete a CDW form. To do all three of these things, if you sit down, it takes maybe half hour, 45 minutes one evening. The rest of the steps after here show you how to do all of that. And we'll also provide links. You can find the links to do all of this stuff additionally on our website under school-based resources. So I'm going to skip through these. The protective behaviors training is about 15 minutes long, has a 9 to 10 question quiz at the end. Again, the types of questions that you will learn about on there is, when is it appropriate to withhold water from athletes? The answer is never. But again, these are the kind of things that we just need to do. We appreciate and recognize that your coaches and school systems probably do a lot of this already. It's just, again, we're not affiliated directly with a school system, so we need to have your coaches do these as well. Risk management type of things. Again, you guys know as district reps, athletic directors, athletic supervisors, that's just how the world works. I'm going to skip through these. These are some informational slides for your LSS managers. The flag football resource page is up to date as of the state tournament last year. It is not up to date yet. We will update it over the summer. The 2024 rulebook will be out by July 1st. We're working on that, just double checking things right now. Additionally, if you have coaches that are looking for additional resources for working with individuals with intellectual disabilities or even unified partners, clicking on the link here gives you a lot of additional resources that you can find on the Special Olympics International website. All right, that's the admin stuff. We're going to move into flag football and unified skills competition. This is the stuff that you guys realistically probably want to know and be able to get to your coaches sooner rather than later. We offer 2 events: unified team flag football, which is traditional 5v5, 2 unified partners and 3 athletes on the field, and unified skills, which is done in pairs. It's skill stations of running, throwing, catching, the typical football skills. For unified team play, which is the 5v5 play, the roster minimum is 8, while the maximum is 12. Again, if you look in the rule book, you'll notice for Special Olympics overall, the maximum size is 10. We've made allowances for up to 12 in Maryland because we found that it works better for the sport. Instead of having essentially 1 sub for each person in your starting 5 or 5 offense, 5 defense, gives you a little bit more flexibility should somebody get hurt, sick, whatever it may be. Again, 5 players on the field during play. For unified teams, there's 2 partners and 3 athletes on the field during play. And the gameplay is pretty much standard of what you would expect from American football / flag football. It's a 60-yard flag football field, typical possessions, typical first down, 6-point touchdowns. You can go for 1, you can go for 2. Typical flag football play. When it comes to skills rosters, the minimum roster is 2 or 1 pair, while the maximum is 8 or 4 pairs. Again, your roster is comprised of pairs of athletes and unified partners. So if you have 1 athlete that's doing skills, we want a unified partner paired with them. Additionally, one thing we came across last year to make you guys aware of is that you should find unified partners that specifically are interested in being skills partners if you're going to have skills athletes. We did run into some bumps last year of everybody thought they were playing team flag football, but then we needed some partners to do skills. Once they knew that, they were fine. But again, make sure you have a pair, an athlete and a unified partner, up to 4 pairs for your unified skills team. The gameplay for skills is a 40-yard dash, a target pass, throwing for distance overall, flag pulling, and we've replaced the footwork with a catching station, and it's been tremendously better than the footwork station, honestly. Actually, before I go on, I will say with unified skills is what makes flag football accessible to all levels of skills for unified sports. We had at least one athlete in a wheelchair that did skills last year. But I mean, for the most part, skills covered everybody that didn't feel comfortable playing team ball. But skills is also a good place to start freshmen at, or athletes that you think could develop the skills through skills play to play 5v5 team play. Team assessment form. We're going to go over these next two sections, but for the most part, after you get a practice or two in, we would like you as a coach or multiple assistant coaches, however you want to do it, to do assessments for your student athletes to get a baseline sense of where their skill set is at. It helps in divisioning them for district tournaments and states a little bit, but realistically, after we play, 2, 3 weeks of 5v5 competition, we know who's fit to play each other at that point. Um, Again, additionally, along with the registration and with the assessment forms, we want our district reps double checking those things, double checking paperwork as coaches turn them in. Because if you catch things and can return them before they come back to us, it's one less step of email jumping down the chain to chase somebody for paperwork. So again, double check paperwork, make sure names are on the team roster, make sure date of births are on there. And just overall, let us know if anybody needs help with any sort of assessments or rostering or whatever. Please, if you have multiple teams, again, schools can have multiple teams. You can have Mountain Ridge Team 1 and Mountain Ridge Team 2, plus a skills team. That's totally fine. If you were going to have multiple teams at a school, please make sure to label them high school name, then high school HS, and then the team number. That's the coding we use to keep things organized and consistent. I know it may not be as fun as, Northwestern High School Sharks or something like that. That makes it very hard for us to track if you have multiple teams, which team is which, because we don't know your students like you know your students. So please make sure you do Allegheny High School 1, Allegheny High School Team 2, and then Allegheny Skills Team if you're doing your competition rosters. Here's that assessment form. Again, for the most part, you take this front page, you fill in your student athletes' names, and then as they go through practice, we don't care about the age, height, and weight. That's a carryover from our community program where that matters. We care about what their scoring is in these different fields, and this is how you score them in those different fields. Additionally, just like we've had this kind of hurdle to get over with tennis for years, when it comes to assessment of student athletes, assessments are great, but they don't tell the whole story, and we're aware of that. Two things assessments sometimes we have little hiccups with are A, you do them in September, your students play for another month and a half, 2 months, they get better at the game. So they probably get better than what their initial assessment score was. And B, everyone that's holding an assessment paper is going to have a different perception of each one of these different sections: blocking, game awareness, passing the ball, catching the ball, so on and so forth. So we ask you guys to do your best. When we do our coaches training, we will go over this as well. But the assessment isn't the end all be all. We tend to use how they look on the field as a team more than individual assessments. It's just a nice tool for us to have some sort of baseline. Rules of gameplay. We'll cover these relatively fast, but these are the core rules. If you want to know the rules inside and out, we highly recommend you go directly to the flag football rule book that we will share with you. 2 20-minute halves with a running clock until the last minute of each half. Within the last minute of each half, the clock stops for all dead ball situations, just like the 2-minute warning for NFL football. If it's an incomplete pass, if the ball goes out of bounds, if there's an official's whistle, all those things stop the clock. Overtime, the team that started with the first overtime possession will possess the ball in second overtime. Overtime works essentially just like college football. Think of it that way. where we line up and you have four chances to go into the end zone. If you score, the other team gets a chance to match, so on and so forth. We keep going. Scoring for extra points. If you want to go for 1 point, you go from the 6-yard line. If you want to go for 2 points, not 20 points, I will update that. You go from the 12-yard line. There's no field goals or anything. Again, traditional flag football has you going for 1 or 2 points after a touchdown. Running the ball, the quarterback cannot advance the ball across the line of scrimmage at any point. So the quarterback cannot run. If there's a situation where the quarterback distributes the ball behind the line of scrimmage to another player, and then the ball returns back to the quarterback, they're now an active runner and they can run the ball. Again, that's something we will show you more of a visual of when we do our coaches' trainings. Ball carriers must make an effort to avoid defenders with an established position. You can't run people over. If you do that, the official will throw the flag. There will be a penalty for that. And it tends to be a personal foul, not just running somebody over. We want to protect our players and keep our players safe. If a defender is in an established position, they have to do their best to go around them. They cannot go over them. Additionally, you will see on the field layout in the rules, plus we'll show again at the coaches training, the no run zone, any ball snapped from or in those zones, it can be right on the line for the no run zone or within that 5-yard zone, must be thrown. Essentially, there's a no run zone if you're on offense prior to the first down line and prior to the end zone. With this, it protects your student athletes not only against opponents, but from themselves, because it prevents collisions in very contested zones. Again, we also want to prevent the situation where a ball is snapped and the ball's just jammed over a goal line or first down line, because that tends to lead to more injuries than it's valuable to the game. Anecdotal thing, side story. I used to officiate NERSA flag football when I was in college. They have no run zone for NERSA. You have people jamming fingers and bumping heads and all sorts of stuff when it's first and goal with 6 inches out, because they snap the ball and just try to jam the ball in there, and it becomes regular football, not flag football. So again, no run zone is very important. Reminder about passing, receiving. Illegal touching is still a rule that we follow. You can't step out of bounds and then come back in bounds and be the first one to touch the ball. Illegal touching, the flag will be thrown for that. Reminder on passing, receiving as well. Unified partners cannot throw to unified partners. Excuse me. But unified partners can throw to athletes, and athletes can throw to anyone. Our most successful community program teams that are unified have athletes as quarterbacks, so they can distribute the ball any way that they like. So please remember that unified partners cannot throw to unified partners. Screen blocking. After assuming an a legal screen position, a player may move to maintain it unless they move into an opponent and create contact. This is a lot easier. We will show visuals for it. Essentially, the screen blocking situation is kind of like picking in basketball and then having the ability to set a moving pick. But if the defender beats a blocker to the spot, they need to let them continue. They can't get in the way of the defender to a point where they're setting up a dangerous contact situation. We'll cover that in the coaches training. It's easier to see than me to explain over a webinar. Not going to go over all these penalties. Typical penalties. We call all the typical penalties. Our officials at the state tournament are typically NERSA certified or local flag football officials in other leagues. And they're pretty used to calling these, and they will call them. Not new rules at this point. They were in the 2021 rule update, which is the most recent rule update. The ball carrier can spin while running the ball to avoid defenders. That was added back in. For a while, you couldn't spin. And then there's no limit on number of steps you can do as a blocker, but you have to beat the defender to the spot and establish a blocking position. Again, no hands. Essentially, it's a pick. But if the defender beats you to the spot, you can't run into them. You gotta let them pass. That's all the rules stuff. Um, Main stuff when it comes to uniforms, you need to have a shirt that has your team name or your school on it with the Unified Sports logo that you see there. We do have patches of that if you need to iron something on, or we can order that to be ironed on if you already have uniforms. And for flag football, uh, you have to have numbers on the front and the back of the uniform so they can be seen by an official. We will update this on the flag football page for the logo in case you need it. Again, they need to have large jersey numbers on the front and the back. You can have pennies if you want that have numbers on it. That's fine. Again, as long as it has your school name on it and or mascot name or whatever, plus the Unified Sports logo and the numbers, we're good. We're happy. When it comes to bottoms, we just want you to get as close as you can to some sort of single colored bottom, whether that be shorts or athletic pants or sweatpants. No big crazy logos are on there, no leggings. We want athletic pants for competition. Obviously, no jeans, no khakis, no button shorts or whatever it may be. If you want to tell your whole team to go out and get Walmart $6 black shorts, that's perfectly fine. That's probably the best thing that they can do. Additional note, I don't think I put it on here, but we highly recommend cleats for flag football. The least that you want to do is some sort of shoe that won't slip on turf, knowing that turf varies school to school to school as well. Mouthpieces. Everyone that participates in 5v5 unified team play must wear a mouthpiece. It's non-negotiable. Officials will check before a game. Officials will be watching throughout the course of the game. If you don't have a mouthpiece, you will not be allowed on the field. We provide mouthpieces, the very basic mouthpieces that you can boil and mold as part of your equipment package when you start up. If they want a better mouthpiece than that, they're more than welcome to go buy it. You do not have to wear a mouthpiece if you are a skills participant, though. Miscellaneous gear, we know there's a lot of extra flag football gear, headbands, cold gear that goes over the head, gloves, arm sleeves, wristbands. Essentially, we're fine with all of that stuff. We ask that to be a relatively close color or whatever that single color is you ask for the shorts or whatever your school team color is. We're fine with all that type of stuff. If for some reason an official asks one of your student athletes to remove something, they're not asking because they're mean or they don't want them to enjoy what they're wearing. There's usually a safety concern with it. So please just let your student athletes know that most of the typical flag football stuff is fine. If they want to wear a guardian cap, that's even fine. But if an official says, hey, I need you to take that off, there's a reason for it, please just comply. All right, last few slides as we close things out here. 2-minute drill. Essentially, this is going to be a 2 to 5 minute conversation with your sports chair. Your sports chair is Meredith. Meredith is going to reach out once a week. She's going to find out what works for you guys as district reps. Do you want to do a text message? Do you like an email? Do you want to talk on the phone? Meredith will reach out and set that up with you. The biggest reason we want to do this is just so we can communicate to you effectively week after week, and you guys can do the same with us in case anything comes up. Hey, my school's struggling still to find a coach. Hey, we got all of our equipment except this. How do we, remedy that situation? This school has a whole bunch of athletes and not a lot of partners. What do we do? Please communicate with Meredith as she reach out week to week. The best thing that you guys can do for your student athletes is communicate with us, and we will continuously communicate with all of you. If you have questions, concerns, or need to discuss something, please reach out to us, like I just said. Again, throughout the summer, we have plenty of time before the fall season rolls around, but the summer goes very fast. I think you all know that. So if you have questions, please reach out, send an email, send a text message, give us a call. Just know that we're probably going to take some summer vacation as much as we can too at some point. But if you don't hear back within 48 hours, reach out again, send a text, do a call. If you can't get a hold of me, reach out to Tyler. If you can't get a hold of Tyler, reach out to Meredith. If you can't get a hold of Meredith, reach out to me. If not, put us all on the same text or email or whatever works for you. The biggest thing we want to push is communication with everybody. With that said, again, if you have questions, reach out. Thank you guys for everything that you've done this school year, and we're very excited for the 2024 fall and 2025 seasons. And as always, if you need anything, please reach out to us.